together. Go to bettertogether.health to learn more.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Red RJ! Hey,
To talk to Ian Punnett, call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. This is Coast to Coast AM with Ian Punnett.
Well, so we were just talking about lost cities, and so it was then that we are continuing a conversation with Johnny from New Hampshire about America's Stonehenge. He's done some work. He wants to share it. We'll talk about it next on Coast to Coast AM. This is Ian Punnett.
Want to learn a new language so it will actually stick? Try Babbel. Precious real-life conversations in the Babbel app.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Get personalized help in Babbel's live online classes.
Classes are limited to 6 people, so everyone can get the help they need.
Review words and phrases with fun games, or dive into the culture with short videos. Whatever your learning style, Babbel gives you the tools you need. Babbel, more ways to learn. Now try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Whether you're vaccinated or not, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign of COVID and the flu, so make sure you use an accurate thermometer. Only the Exogen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate, with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them, and you cannot rely on them. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exogen.com.
Real people, real stories.
So I had an appointment with the surgeon, and he was telling me what all he was going to do, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I came home, I started on Carnivora, and I called and canceled my surgery, and she said, "Are you going someplace else?" I said, "No, I'm taking care of it myself." She said, "Okay." And my problem on my skin went away.
I have bruising that's all over my arms, 3 weeks after I was on the carnivore, I noticed, if I'm looking at my arms, and I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be the carnivore.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. Use coupon code George to get 15% off your order.
We just cleared out the first-time caller line. You can get that one. And the international line, I think, is open, too. Otherwise, we're booked. I'm going to go to Johnny, who's in Salem, New Hampshire. We were just talking about him before the bottom of the hour. So, Johnny, I do remember this conversation, and I remember looking up more about it after I think it was you, but it may have actually been somebody else, but I think it was you, that said, was talking about this monolith that exists and that there is sort of this disputed origin about it. What did you find in the meantime about what we now call America's Stonehenge, even though it's not a henge properly?
Right. It has the astrological and solar orientations. But as far as the stone structures, what I found out from like our local historian was he directed me, there's a group called New England Antiquities Research Association. They deal a lot with a lot of these, New England's full of these stone walls and stone mounds.
Right.
They have done research on those giants and things too, but where it acutely directed me to was this particular book called The Ruins of Great Ireland in New England. And whether they're right or not, the Irish / Nordic / Druid,
Right.
they kind of take credit for these stone structures and orientations, noting that they're identical to other ones in Northern Europe.
So I had never heard that they were identical. I heard that they were kind of evocative or they were similar to, but never that they were identical. And I thought really what the...
I don't think they say that the whole layout and everything there is identical, but looking at like one cave, they say this cave is made the same way as this cave over here.
So let me ask you in your conversations, because this is always what interests me about history, is that we make some suppositions about who was there first. So if it's true that it was ancient peoples that did this 4,000-ish years ago, right? These carvings, these formations. It doesn't leave out the possibility that other groups came in waves, kept finding it, and kept putting their stamp on it without having been the first people to have built it. Where are you with that?
I think that's very probable, and that adds to, the muddying of the soup where people say, well, it's a hoax, it was farmers, or, attributing it to other groups. I guess the real question is, we'll probably never know the answer, is who originally, designed this or built these things. And having been there, I can tell you it's very crude. The caves are more cavemanish looking than they're not really anything that looks anything close to modern.
And or even in a lot of ways Celtic, and so that's why it kind of surprised me that art. I thought that would have been kind of fairly debunked. Not that somebody didn't show up there later on and put a mark on it, but that would have been its origin, because that would have been 4,000 years ago. I think that's what they date that back to, and it's only like it hasn't been called America's Stonehenge even for very long. Before that, it was just it was like what do they call it? Like
Mystery Hill.
But that's what they called it. They called it Mystery Hill, and so that seems actually a much more appropriate title, because it's much more of a mystery than it's a henge.
I agree. I wanted to throw one more thing out at you from your show from the witch trials in Salem.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious that the powers that be were using this divine seeing, essentially witchcraft, to identify these witches to kill them.
Right. Yeah. Goes to show you again.
They were essentially using witchcraft themselves to identify witches.
To identify witches. And claiming these extraordinary supernatural powers to find other people who had extraordinary supernatural powers. I agree.
Yeah.
And that was great.
Karate is better than your karate.
Right. No, I totally dig that. That's excellent. Appreciate that. Well, thank you, Johnny. Enjoyed that conversation a bit. Let me know if you ever find out more. Steve is trucking in Sodak on Coast to Coast. Steve, where are you right now as we speak?
Honk to my horn, Northeast South Dakota, in a little town I can't read, Red Bank, South Dakota.
Okay, there you
go. Not to sound crazy, we're going to take a trip over to the Grand Canyon.
Sure.
And I read about it, and your call screener, as sweet as she is, she came back and said, well, that never happened. And ancient Egypt artifacts found in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And they said they were spirited away by the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian. Oh, we don't know nothing about that. But it's almost like it'd be asked the Vatican, "Oh, do you have?" "Oh, no, we don't have anything like that."
But we can't use. But hold on, Steve. We can't use absence of evidence to be evidence of absence, right? I mean, it is an absolute guiding theory in logic. You will lose an argument every time to say the proof that it exists is the fact that it's no longer there.
I understand that.
Okay.
And
Just try to keep it grounded a little bit, because I know the thing you're talking about, right? Because this has been going on for a long time. These early articles that popped out about what had been found in the Grand Canyon.
correct.
Yeah.
And
But
it's just something I always found interesting.
It's fascinating.
I've never been able to get to the Grand Canyon. So I've always wanted to go. Just never.
Oh, come on! You're a trucker. You're supposed to
I can buy it, but I just don't have time.
You got just pull the truck over for half a day, man. You've earned that. I mean, it's Flagstaff. First of all, is a great city. So if you go anywhere, you're driving through you go like Route 66, and you're going anywhere near Flag, stop in, because it's a cool mountain town to begin with. But that part of Grand Canyon in particular, really beautiful. And
what I need to do is take the train from I-40 that goes up to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I take the train east I've gone east and west of the Grand Canyon on Amtrak. That's a beautiful ride.
This is a day trip. It's just
Yeah.
up and back and all
I
that
know.
stuff. Can I ask you one quick question, Ian?
Yeah, go ahead.
How's your tinnitus doing?
Never get better, but it will always be something that I've learned to manage it, and I try never to talk about it, but I will make this exception. The less attention I pay to it, the longer in the day I can go without hearing it. Frequently, the only time I really am, overcome by it is at night, and that's the time.
The only reason I ask is I have the same problem.
Yeah. But are you using the proper therapies? Are you trying the things which really do help?
I leave the truck idling at night.
That's good. Ambient noise, right?
White
that's
noise.
yeah, exactly. That's why I drive a convertible.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
And things are good in the Little Apple?
Yeah, they're wonderful. Thank you for asking. And the weather very autumnal these days. And I keep that top down all the way through like the second week of January, because it really does help with the tea. So I wish the same for you too. And thank you so much for jumping in and being patient, hanging on. Let me go to Ronald, who's in Phoenix, not too far from Flagstaff on Coast to Coast. Ronald?
Yeah, hi Eden. Hey, I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to have the photographer on again, talking about the Jordan courtesy?
Oh, yeah, it's been a while since we've had an update on the codices.
The last time he was on, he was arrested by the Israeli government and he put in jail for treason.
Yeah. Well, so I think it's a very interesting subject. You're right. We are overdue on this. For people that don't know, a codex is kind of an early version of what we would think of today as a modern book. So it takes it out of the scroll form, and that these codices that came out of Israel in particular, some of which were verified, others were disputed. I think, you know what, I've got to do that. I'm so glad you brought that up. I should be thinking about that, and I missed that one. So good. I'll return to that. I promise you sometime soon. Let me get to Leroy, who's in Colorado on Coast to Coast. Leroy or Leroy? Which one do you go with?
You call me anything you want as long as you call me in time to eat.
There you go. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, a long time listener.
Glad to have you.
Since the days of Art Bell. Anyway, I do scroll saw work.
Oh, cool.
And I was just kind of wondering if you got an item I sent you called Moonwalker Combo.
I don't think I did. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's 4 little aliens, each one playing an instrument.
Well, I will see if I can find out about that. And you did this work yourself?
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for all of the time that you spent listening, going back to the Art Bell days. And you sound like a delightful gentleman, so I will inquire and find out if I can't find out what happened to that package. So have a wonderful night, and let me go ahead and grab Lance, who's in Galloway, New Jersey, east of the Rockies on Coast to Coast. Lance?
Hey, Ignatius, good evening, Ian. And first and foremost, I want to wish you a happy belated Father's Day. Because there are many times that you always start your show, and or sometime during it, you mention your two sons, and I think that's really thoughtful.
Well, thank you, and they are my batteries. You know,
and you know what? That's the theory of. I think that's one of the positive things about being a dad. It charges you up to do the right thing
every time.
Which we're supposed to do. Anyway,
I appreciate that.
I was trying to figure out how come the first guest from National Geographic, have they ever found any artifacts of musical instruments that are from various, continents and periods of history? That's number one question. And the second question is, I'm disappointed in the last, I guess it's maybe the Smithsonian took it too, the American work ethic. Because it's not around much anymore. Because if I remember as an educator, I used to use the formula of work equals force times distance, and it was measured in joules per guy. But the thing is, now when I see it, I don't see the work ethic as I grew up with it. I'm 70 and some, but I just feel that now with the way things are and how easy it is to attain information through the internet and all that, I think people just become a little bit too complacent and don't want to put faith in their own ingenuity.
Don't go anywhere, because I want to address that. I always look at, first of all, what did the people from 100 years ago think about us? What would they have? Would they think about work ethic? What would they think of ours?
No soup for you.
Exactly. We all have it too easy. We go to the supermarket. We don't have to kill any chickens. We don't have to do any, right? We don't have to milk that cow. We can just go buy milk. So, I think that part of that is always generational. I work a lot with millennials and Gen Zs. I think I see lots of evidence of a very, very strong work ethic. It's just different, but it's just different. It doesn't look like ours.
Well, this is what I wanted to share with you. I think the formula for work now is W equals D times discover times fulfillment. If you discover what gives you fulfillment, you'll be there all the time, and it's more spontaneous and exhilarating.
That's interesting, and I think that's probably more true of millennials or even the older Gen Zs, which are referred to as zillennials because they overlap a lot. There's a real movement among the people, roughly, Gen Zs are the generation that is right now about 24, 25, and then below. The interesting thing is that they are moving back to something which millennials took very. It made it the center of their life, was the idea of doing work with a purpose, and that's why you see all of, not just, I watch CNBC all the time, and there isn't a CEO that doesn't come on there and talk about, improving the world, and this is how we're trying to improve the world, and that resonates with millennial investors and with the sort of millennial economics. Gen Z is a little bit more Machiavellian, which is they've grown up in the era of COVID, and for them, making money is a real thing, and they don't look to work to fulfill them. So to hit that fulfillment key, they don't actually look necessarily, as a generation, one of the early characteristics, one marker is that they don't think of work as the thing that has to bring them the greatest amount of joy. It's just something that brings them money, and they'll worry about their own joy after they get off work. And I thought that's an interesting break, and it actually speaks to maybe working a little bit harder to make more money because they want to. You know?
It seems that they have more of a insightful vision of what the imagination and I guess you said it earlier, manifest destiny. Maybe work has evolved into another realm with the help of electronics and the internet. But I think I don't know. Elon Musk would be a great drum major at the Ohio band.
Well, and I think you're really hitting on something because I think I'm not a Zuckerberg guy, but I've been watching a lot of this whole discussion about the metaverse. There are innovations in monetizing AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, XR, extended reality, where people will be working in a virtual context, and they may never actually go to an office, but they may appear in a virtual office where they walk in as an avatar and they interact with other people's avatars, and they're going to still work 8 hours. They just may work 8 hours sitting in a comfy chair somewhere and not actually having to get in a car and commute. And think about how that will change everything. Highways, car purchases, the cost of petroleum, electricity, electric cars. So, I don't know. Yeah, lots of things coming. Really great observations. And you need to go and get to and see more of that wonderful state. You're in, am I catching it right? You're in Arizona, right?
No, in New Jersey.
New Jersey, that's right. Okay, that's right. Well, because there's a wonderful museum in Arizona, the Musical Instrument Museum, and that is one of the coolest places that you could ever go if you ever want to see ancient instruments. Well, let me cruise over, and I'm running out of time as I get to the top of the hour. Do I have time enough for Don in Kent, Ohio, on Coast to Coast? Don?
Brother Ian, happy Sabbath, buddy.
And to you.
I wanted to back up the resident atheist wall. From WorldNet or World News Daily reported Smithsonian admits the destruction of thousands of giant human skeletons in the early 1900s. So I click onto that site. It even has Gaia News that, brought a lot of this stuff up in that. And so when you start jumping around here, they start showing pictures of it. And, these things are, it's amazing what you're finding here. Even Abraham Lincoln, it says in 1848, State University, the bones of dead giants were buried deep in the soil in parts of America. So,
but again, what we define as giants is the interesting part, because we all have a different. We think fee-fi faux fum, right? We think Jack and the Beanstalk giants. We think Game of Thrones giants, or as some people claim, humans that were 20 feet tall. Well, there's no evidence of that, but of those very tall humans at a time when people were much shorter. When Abraham Lincoln himself might have been considered somewhat of a giant, according to others. And you go to these museums and you see how small those Civil War uniforms were. They look like children of the war. All right, so we've got so much to get to. So many people hanging on. We'll get to everybody in order. Just hang on. We'll give you the numbers next on Coast to Coast AM. This is Ian Pine.
Hey, it's Dean Sharp. What does solar mean for your future? Well, that depends on whether your solar is Sunlux Solar. Sunlux Solar means you've unshackled your home from the rising cost of electricity. Sunlux Solar means uninterrupted power during blackouts or natural disasters. It means no more dependence on gasoline because your home fuels your car. Sunlux Solar means saving tens of thousands of dollars over the life of the system. I design homes. I know just how much is riding on your solar. That's why I partner with Sunlux, because Sunlux is solar done right. The most comprehensive warranty of the industry, 5-star customer service, critical partnerships with industry leaders like Tesla and LG. With Sunlux, it's a partnership for your home's future, and that future is just a click away at sunlux.com. That's sunlux.com. CFLB 1008374.
The Delta variant is making COVID-19 spread faster and more easily. Variants can be more contagious, aggressive, and deadly. But we know vaccines work. Vaccinated Californians have greater protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. We can help stop the spread and end this pandemic. Get vaccinated and wear a mask when it can protect you and others. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
That's amazing that he was able to keep that many guns in his house. You should have gone to one of those gun buyback programs, so you could have got $200,000 worth of Ralph cards.
I think if he had gone to one of those programs, he would have set a record for one of those programs.
Yeah, it wiped him out.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
Weeknights at 6
on KFI.
Like an awkward 8th grade huggy dance. So tennis dancing thing didn't happen. No, it really happened. You sold out. Look, if somebody asks you to dance, you dance.
John and Ken. Weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't let KFI fill you in once in a while, you could miss it.
KOSC HD2. Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
The party don't stop. I'm Andrew Caravella from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A moratorium on short-term rentals in Costa Mesa has been extended for another year. Mayor John Stevens says people have been partying 7 days a week in the pandemic.
Parties create noise, they create parking issues, and the neighbors need sleep, and they need a place where they can have the quiet enjoyment of their home.
Stevens says complaints of noise, overcrowding, and parking issues spiked last year. He says the council has extended the moratorium for another year to allow for time to create regulations and a permitting process. A former USC senior associate athletic director has pleaded guilty for her role in the college admission scandal. Donna Heinel arranged for more than 24 students to get into USC as fake athletes. Heinel took a plea deal, agreeing to a prison sentence of no more than 46 months. Griffith Park is celebrating its 125th anniversary this weekend, but the party may have a dark cloud over it.
The LA Zoo was built in 1966, and zoo officials point out much of the zoo hasn't changed since then. That's why they've come up with a 20-year redesign and redevelopment plan that would include expanding the facility to add more space for animals, along with things like a possible aerial tram and new restaurants. But opponents to the idea point out that expanding the zoo would infringe on green space, which they say they want to see protected. A petition on change.org against the project has already collected 25,000 signatures. Jennifer Jones-Lee, KFI News.
President Biden has welcomed the better-than-expected employment numbers. U.S. employers created 531,000 new jobs in October. Biden says that's good news for the economy.
Weekly pay went up in October, and an average hourly earnings up almost 5% this year.
The unemployment rate is also down, coming in at 4.6% in October. And the funeral has been held in Washington, D.C. for the first black person to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of State. Colin Powell died last month at the age of 84 of COVID-19 with cancer and Parkinson's as contributing causes. The woman who preceded Powell in the job, Madeleine Albright, says she sat in on many meetings with him, and he was a master negotiator.
He cared only about achieving results, and somehow, through the strength of his personality, he made pragmatism charismatic.
President Biden went to the funeral, as did former Presidents Obama and Bush. KFI weather, fog throughout the morning with low visibility. The afternoon will clear with highs in the upper 60s at the beaches, 70 for Metro LAOC. The valleys will see upper 70s, low 80s for the IE. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Andrew Caravella.
We already have Caltrans working Ontario, westbound up to 60, Archibald to Eastwood with the carpool and 2 left lanes shut down. There's also a crash now on the right side of the freeway. So overall, all lanes blocked there. You're backed up to Grove Avenue, downtown LA. The 101 freeway northbound and southbound shut down for Caltrans work northbound side closed between the 5 and 4th Street until around 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Southbound side closed from the 10 to the 5 until 6 a.m. Sunday. You can take the 5 or the 110 freeway instead. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robert Bucky.
Hey, Gary, how are things?
Things are great, but I crushed my mortgage payment with owning without even leaving my couch. I got a no closing cost refi at a great low rate, and owning did it all in less than 3 weeks. It was easy, no muss, no fuss.
Be like Gary. Call Owning at 855-5-OWNING and crush your mortgage payment with today's 30-year fixed refi at 2.75% rate at APR with no closing costs. None. Zero. Even if you've refinanced recently, call 855-5-OWNING and let us crush your monthly payment even more. That's 855-5-OWNING. Or log on to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval. Call 823-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
You can crush it too with a 30-year fixed 2.75% rate in APR with absolutely no closing costs.
Avoid the gridlock of having to sort through hundreds of resumes to find great people. Indeed's hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in one place. To find your next great hire, visit Indeed.com/credit.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and a submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiment. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
There's nothing better than feeling safe and sound while you gently drift off to sleep.
Right, Dad. And speaking of feeling safe, Sit and Sleep is proud to pay tribute to our veterans, active duty military, and first responders who protect us and keep us safe during our Veterans Day sale.
This Veterans Day holiday, come to Sit and Sleep and save up to 50% off the largest selection in the USA. With your good credit, sleep interest-free for 12 months with your minimum monthly payment. Plus, save $100 on select models of our exclusive hybrid Infinity mattress. And come try Casper and Nectar before you buy.
And as a special thank you to our veterans, active duty military, and first responders, Sit and Sleep is honored to offer special Veterans Day sale discount.
Shop in store, online, or by phone with a trained mattress consultant. And we'll deliver your mattress for free, usually the very next day.
To all the heroes who keep us safe and help us sleep a little easier at night. Happy Veterans Day from Sit and Sleep.
Hey, I'm billion-dollar broker Ryan Serhant, and I'm here to tell you that my very, very popular and successful podcast, Big Money Energy, is returning for Season 2 on October 25th, so subscribe now. Season 2 features conversations with some of the smartest people in the world, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Ben Baller, Rebecca Minkoff, Jenny Slice, and more. Listen to Big Money Energy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Go solar with local and veteran-owned Super Solaris. Visit supersolaris.com.
KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk.
To talk to Ian Punnett, call the Wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. This is
Taking podcast on demand.
Ian Punnett.
Good old Avicii. Still sad about his suicide.
For sincere, one nice day.
Just truly one of those, like, child prodigies. Caught everybody off guard, except I guess his inner circle knew his struggles, but